How does it affect the relationship between the doctors and the drug companies or life science companies? Has it been good, bad, or?
Yeah, so certainly a lot of the interactions, like we were talking about with your wife, who's a clinical pharmacist, around starting to have those conversations around we're required to report this spend is happening, has both started a little bit of an issue in terms of a customer relationship, because that conversation can turn pretty tough pretty fast if you say you weren't at that event and I say you were because I have you signed in. And a lot of people do ask physicians now to actually sign in at events. There's an industry organization called PhRMA, the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Group of America, that has guidelines for the industry that many have adopted that require sign-in sheets like that. So you can get into some sticky conversations when you have those sorts of things. But to be honest with you, a lot of companies also view it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to have a further dialogue with their customers if they're proactive about how they're going to go about collecting that information, the mechanism in which they're going to provide it to those customers so that they know, hey, this data is going to be coming to you. This is the way that you can dispute it if you see fit. And this is the process we'll take you through. It really gives them more opportunity to spend some time with their customers and just another avenue to get that relationship.
That makes sense.
Yeah. How do you see commercialization changing in this area now with the sunshine provision?
Yeah, I think what's most interesting about this is if you look at our industry as a whole, we really spent the mid-late 90s and early 2000s really trying to get a lot deeper customer intelligence and spent tens and hundreds of millions of dollars trying to do that. And in our industry, when we talk about a customer, we really generally mean a physician. Because Pfizer, Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, they don't sell a pill to you directly. Really, your physician writes a prescription, you go to a pharmacy and buy it. So really the direct influence that they can have over any quote-unquote sale is by influencing a physician to write a prescription for a particular drug. We spent a lot of time and effort trying to understand what influences we might be having with the physician through different interactions, whether it be by providing information through a sales rep, whether it be seeing them at a convention or a symposia, whether it be having them at a speaking event, all those kinds of different interactions, and frankly largely failed. I think the biggest irony of the sunshine provision is what the government's now done is mandated that every customer, every pharmaceutical company know what they're doing with their customers. So at the end of this process, by way of the government mandate, we'll actually have really good customer intelligence. And we have the government to thank for that. I think it's pretty ironic.
What are the impacts of investments having and new technology on it?
Yes, I think the opportunity that the pharmaceutical industry, I think, will take once they go through this process and having to gather all this information is twofold. One, they'll have it for themselves. They'll have that customer intelligence that we just talked about. The second thing is they'll also have everybody else's. Every other company also has to post everything that they've been doing. Now, some folks would say, but that data is going to be a year old. Well, sure it will be, but you don't have any of it today.
Right, sure.
So certainly you'll start to use it. The second thing is this industry is very well regulated and therefore historically very slow to change because of concerns around how those regulations may impact them and what they're able to do. So things that seem very straightforward and very, of course you've already done that in other industries like self-service, providing kiosking, and providing information on demand when you want it as a consumer are things that our industry has really been a little bit slower to adopt. But things like the iPad, things like the Motorola Zoom that's coming out, the Samsung Galaxy, being able to get information on demand quickly and sort of always being connected are certainly changing the way that the pharmaceutical and med device industry is providing information. Even things as simple as if you look at how many applications have been built and are available in the market, in the Android market or through the App Store with Apple, there's about 200 different applications that manufacturers have put out there to get information out there. Those both target consumers in the way of helping them understand and manage their disease state, as well as physicians and helping them to understand how the drug interacts with other drugs, its mechanism of action, how it's actually effective in treating a disease. So we've started to really use those new technologies and continued investments in technologies to continue to progress the way that we're able to interact with our customers.
Mm-hmm. Staying with the technology idea, is there any changes or what's going to happen with social media? Are you going to deal with anything in that area?
Yeah, when you talk about social media, again, sort of with the industry that we have and the regulations that we have, the fact that I think is really staggering about social media is if you think about, you just take sort of the prime example of social media, which is Facebook, that more people go to Facebook today than go to Google, period, which in and of itself I think is astounding. But when you look into it even further and see that more people go to Facebook to search for a product or a service than go to Google to search for a product or service today, Google's whole point is a search engine. Sure. You go there to search for things. More people go to Facebook to search for things today than they actually go to Google. And if you were to take Facebook's membership and rank it in terms of it being a country and those members being citizens, it'd be the third largest country on the planet. So social media is big. Yeah. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And there's really been two schools of thought in the industry around how to handle it. One school of thought has been to frankly ignore it. That it's not there. And the big reason for that is because there isn't clear guidance from the FDA on how can you interact through social media. The other school of thought has been to absolutely start to interact, because have been letters that the FDA has issued. And a lot of those letters, historically, like when we went through direct-to-consumer advertising or DTC, there were lots and lots of warning letters that were issued as companies started to engage in that media that ultimately formed the principles and the constituents that were going to be in the guidance. There are warning letters out there today around social media, and so the companies that are engaging are using the information that's in those warning letters as guidance. So there are companies like AstraZeneca who are active on Twitter and engage with their customers on Twitter. J&J has a very active blog and YouTube channel. So there are companies out there that have figured out ways to engage with them. And again, if you think about the dynamics of how we sell within this industry, we don't sell to consumers because a consumer doesn't buy from us directly. So to be able to have an interaction with a patient or with a consumer directly through social media is extremely powerful. So people that have started to drill down further into that are really targeting patient communities, of which there's literally hundreds. Every really disease state, whether it be diabetes or muscular dystrophy or cancer or any other number of diseases, have their own patient communities where people get together. Because like anything else, you want to know what's going on with this with people have it. There's one popular one is Patients Like Me, and that really is kind of the essence of what people go to social media for is what are people experiencing that are in similar circumstances as me? And how are they dealing with those, and what things have they tried, and what's worked for them and what hasn't. And to be able to engage with consumers at that level is an extremely powerful channel. And something that the folks that have engaged with that now and early are certainly substantially ahead of the game compared to their competitors.
Yeah, that's good. And we've run out of time, believe it or not, so you've really brought us up to date with the Sunshine provisions, and we look forward to having you back another time, and appreciate all the information. It's certainly new information and helpful information, and make people aware of what's going on. So thanks for being with us, Chris.
Thanks again for having me.
It's great. And Brian, also, nice to have you, and good questions and answers always. And folks, stay with us for the next show. We will have Robert Lieb of Lieb Solutions, and he is involved in a collection agency. And believe it or not, we've been trying to have a person come on about collection agencies for a number of years, and nobody wanted to show up. So this gentleman is coming, and we're going to give him some sharp questions, and we'll see what his answers are. So in the meantime, remember to keep that money under the mattress, or listen to Brian and put it in a good place. And remember that your money matters. And thanks for being here.